Hi guys, and welcome back to another video, and today I'm going to be reviewing and talking about the Death in Paradise Christmas special that aired the other day. I'm going to be talking about my general review of it, what I thought of the episode, and just, yeah, what I thought of the main story and everything, the plot, the murder, how it really got me going. I haven't really touched on murder mystery on the channel so far, and this is my first real in-depth review video, so I hope you enjoy this video, and yeah, let's get into it. Yeah, so the story starts, oh yeah, major spoilers here, sorry about that. It starts with this man called Philip Colton. He basically gets shot, or he shoots himself at the beginning of the story, but he's got a dark past, something bad happened to him previously, about 40 years earlier. We get into all of that stuff, all the nitty-gritty murder stuff, know what I mean. But the things I really do like, how the episode kind of starts. It starts with this man called Colin Babcock, and he's in London, just like, a cab driver from London. A bit of a random way to start an episode, but really engaging, really great, and okay. And he's played by this actor. I can't remember the actor's name. I did try and research it, but I just forgot it now. But his name, he's in Horrible Histories a couple of years ago now, and also in Ghosts, that TV series comedy. He's also in that, but he's in this as well, and he's really great playing this guy called Colin Babcock, and he's really great. But and then he gets a card from a man saying Philip Colton was murdered, and Philip Colton was the guy who was murdered on the beach. So could there be a connection? But he's never heard of him when the police come try and investigate. And yeah, so that's my main introduction bit. Moving on to stuff that I kind of bits I enjoyed were mainly the fact that Neville Parker, D.I. Neville Parker, Detective Inspector, he basically just came over and was like, oh, and he couldn't go home for Christmas, so he had to work on the case, which is quite sad, because he's such a great character. But then I suppose yeah, he is a great character, played by Ralph Little, and he's a great actor, all the detectives have always been played by great actors, and I really like his portrayal of a detective. I think he's really good, So, moving on. The next bit that I did really enjoy was the return of Dwayne. Dwayne is back. Dwayne. Have you ever heard of Dwayne? Dwayne is the character. Well, he's a character who was in Death in Paradise from series 1 to series 7, and then he left. And great to see him back, great to see him back, especially for the anniversary year, because it is 10 years of Death in Paradise, and I think he does an absolutely amazing job. And Danny John-Jules plays him, and he plays him absolutely superbly. Danny John-Jules is a great actor. He's very funny. I think he's been in stuff like Red Dwarf. I've never seen it, but apparently he's good in that. And yeah, he's really great. And yeah, that's what I think of the main cast, really. And yeah, so moving swiftly on. The next thing that I kind of really did enjoy was, so the bit I did enjoy with Neville was the scenes with Catherine, who works at the bar, and basically, sorry about that, the stand's going a bit funny. Yeah, so basically, she works at the bar, Catherine, and she's talking to Neville about how to go with Florence, but Florence is another character who we'll get into later. I'll be covering all of the series some point on my channel, so stay tuned for that, keep it coming. Yeah, so I really do enjoy this episode. I thought it was great. But the thing that Neville wanted to speak to her about is that he was going to ask ask Florence out, but then he had a nosebleed and he got itchy and got nervous, and then, you know, Neville, honestly, you had your chance, you kind of blew it. Yeah, and then later in the story, he does phone her, and the camera freezes, but she could still hear him, and he confessed her love for her, which is quite romantic, but you know, it was quite nice. Nice character moment, I suppose. Moving on to another character moment that I kind of really did enjoy, was the scenes between Marlon and Dwayne, and their kind of relationship, as it were, because like, it's interesting seeing two, like, they're kind of the funny police officers, instead of you normally have like one serious one, one not so serious one. Yeah, so it was great seeing their chemistry. I think they worked really well, you know, like the characters worked really well together, and like Dwayne and Marlon, I think will go down in history as one of the best, you know, kind of police officer, you know, like, teams. I think they really work well together, and yeah, Dan John Jules, and I can't remember the actor's name, but really great actor who plays Marlon. He's superb in this story, and yeah, all the cast is just top notch, and I do like the scene with them in the church, and he's talking about his father. His dad was in hospital, and he was going to go back, you know, go back to London and see him. And like, I find that's a really nice character moment for Dwayne, because last time we saw Dwayne, he decided to go travelling with his dad, who hadn't spoken to in years, which is really nice, a nice kind of character moment, you know, really reuniting the characters, you know. This is why I wish Doctor Who would do this sort of stuff, because more character moments like this, which Death in Paradise is just great with character moments and character traits and everything. Don't get that in Doctor Who, do you? Yeah, so that's what I've got to say. But this was really great. And as a Christmas special, I think it's really great, you know, kind of festive, you know, all that sort of stuff. Now moving on to the section in what I like to call some of the people who could be the murderers. So we have this guy, I can't remember his name, I keep on forgetting people's names. Basically, he knows everything about Philip Carlton. He knows he isn't really Philip Carlton, which we'll get to later. He has his phone and everything, and he knows all the passwords, which is really creepy, and I originally thought, oh, it could be him, he could be the murderer, but no, he wasn't. And then we have this, we have his wife, who is stepwife anyway. She seems a bit of a, you know, not very nice person. His wife, you know, she seems a bit, you know, bossy and a bit not very nice, and what I would determine as just an absolute, like, really moron. That's what I'd probably describe to her as probably being not so nice. Yeah, and I've got to say, and then his wife that he would go on to marry, this other woman, the American woman, I didn't like her at all. She seemed a bit, not a nice word, but she didn't like her. She was meant to be unlikable, I suppose, you know. And the daughter, I suppose, she was nice. I didn't have anything against her. I didn't think she was going to murder anyone. She seemed too nice, you know. But then her boyfriend, the not the girl's boyfriend, but the wife, well, the new wife anyway, she had a boyfriend who then, later in the story, would go on to stab Colin Babcock for some weird unknown reason. Well, not unknown really. They wanted the money. The money. Is this what all people in universes and murders and things is either love or money? It's just weird, you know. If it cuts to the chase, you know, it's gotta be that, you know. Just straight on to the point, isn't it? Love or money. It's just couldn't be that really, could it? But then when we find out the big twist. So moving on to the scenes with Brian Babcock, I really do enjoy these. It shows how depressing his life was until he discovered this. And at the beginning of the story, you show him looking at a picture of the beach, which is really nice, the San Marie beach, like on a postcard and everything. I found that really nice because it's the only link back he had to his birth records, because his birth records got done in water damage. I feel really sad for that, because think about that's your life, that's your history, that's all you know, and it's all in those records, you know, and that's really sad. And then they did a maternity test with Philip Colton, and it wasn't a match. So where did Brian Babcock fit into all this? Let's get into the main ending. So I got into the last bit, as here we are, we're at the end of the video, nearly. So, and then we find out that the end bit, we find out that Philip Colton just wasn't Philip Colton. It wasn't a random person, but it was weird, you know, he wasn't Philip Colton. Philip Colton died 40 years ago, or some random rubbish like this, but he died 40 years ago, and he was murdered, actually, by the Philip Colton, along with his wife, who was actually his cousin. So, just get this straight. They are cousins, and they have a child. Now, that's a bit weird. I suppose it can happen, but it's just a little bit weird, I suppose. And she's just found out that she's her cousin, or basically, her parents were cousins, and she, well, see, this is what good writing is, you know. I like this writing, you know, it's really interesting, you know, it really grabs you answering. A good murder is always good. Word said by me. Yeah, so that's what I kind of thought of that conclusion, but then we find out that Philip Colton, the real Philip Colton, who was murdered 40 years ago, is actually related to Colin Babcock. Wow. Now, this is what I've got to say. This is great writing, and it's absolutely amazing. I've no idea how they do this, honestly. I know Death in Paradise was a book series before that, but I've still no idea how they did this. And I think it was amazing. Moving on to the last bit. So we find out that Colin Babcock is the only surviving relative of Philip Colton, and Philip Colton is finally, basically Colin Babcock goes to the place, because Neville's found out that they're actually related, and he gets to own a massive business with loads of money, and yeah, they live happily ever after. What a great story, and it kind of combines everything together, and that's what I've got to say. So I hope you all enjoyed the video. Please remember to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in a video in the new year. Happy